Hey guys, welcome to the Film Section podcast. I'm Chris,
And I'm Mark.
and for the finale, the season finale, it goes with the season that we're in right now, and it's also a fantastic movie. We're going to be talking about Home Alone, a fucking certified Christmas banger.
Oh yeah.
That's the second time I've said that in like 5 minutes. Good Lord.
Yeah, dude. November 16th, 1990 is when this movie came out. And I just want to kind of put this into perspective here because November 16th, 1990 is a very different time than the time that we are in right now in the year of our Lord 2021.
What really stood out was the airport stuff.
Oh yeah, that's crazy. But it's before we even get into any of that, um, November 16th, 1990. This movie has a budget of $18 million. Okay? So, this movie, 1990, that's a pretty good budget.
Sizable, yes.
The movie opens in 1,200 theaters, 17 million. Opens at number 1, 17 million. Now, that's opening weekend. That's not even like the week, that's just opening weekend. So then,
right.
So obviously it goes to number 1, right? Opens at number 1.
Yes.
So then from November 16th to Christmas, obviously it just stays at number 1.
Sure.
And it's making its second week, it makes $20 million.
Ooh.
Which is really big for a lot of movies. For a lot of movies, for it to go up like that is pretty big. Now here's what's kind of interesting. After Christmas, from December 28th all the way to April 19th, this movie stays in the top 10.
Holy shit.
And in May to June, this movie goes back into the top 10.
Whoa.
Something about this movie had wild legs. This movie stayed in theaters, though. The crazy thing, this movie was in theaters for well over a year. 58 weeks.
Oh. Well, to go along with the theme of it was a different time, it stayed in that top 10 for or like a year, and probably didn't get a VHS or not even DVD. I'm talking 1990. My bad.
Yeah, just VHS.
It back then, movies, it took like a year, almost 2 years, and then they would release it on VHS.
Oh, so, yeah.
Plenty of time in the theater. And especially if it was a huge hit, they might wait longer. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. Well, that was the thing, too, is that, I mean, movies, even in the early 2000s, had way longer theatrical runs. Not to mention, there was also a lot of these types of theaters where after the movie would play in like its Regals and AMCs, it would get kind of bumped off to like these almost like second tier theaters where it was like your last chance to be able to see it on the big screen kind of theater,
The $1.50 show.
Yeah, it was one of those where like, this is it. It's only going to be playing for like these last 3 weeks and then it's out of theaters for good. I miss those kind of theaters. Like that was, I remember, I don't remember what movie it was. I'm maybe my dad would remember, but I remember him and me going to like I think it was like the $5 movies or whatever, and and it was just, I remember I went to see Da Vinci Code one time, And then
Okay.
I'm not sure about. I know we went a different time for some other movie, but yeah, it's just thinking about that, kind of like looking at the box office and how long it stayed in theaters well after Christmas and consistently doing pretty good numbers, you know? Um,
Mhm.
it's insane. It was just insane to look at it and be like, oh my God, how things have changed.
I
Like the theater
yeah.
experience is not the same as it used to be. Even like as I said, even
Uh,
like 10 years ago, 15 years ago.
fucking the $5 show. Speaking of that, I saw How High 7 times at the $5 show.
I, those theaters need to come back, you know?
I agree.
You know,
It can't just be like it can't just be like your theater. Like you know how they have like they stick one of those like small theaters in a neighborhood, like well, like on Hurdle, like the North Park,
mhm.
and he he dips in or I forget if it's the dips in,
Well, yeah, the
but
dips in at like
at
Eastern Hills.
by the college. Well, there's the dips in Easter Hills, and then the Amherst Theater by the college,
I think that's just the
like
Amherst
South
Theater.
Campus.
It's just called the Amherst Theater.
Yeah,
Um,
I actually saw It Follows there.
really, the I
Yeah,
want to say the I think it was the one on Hurdle where I saw Parasite
the
for my
North Park.
birthday, and that shit was dope.
Yeah, dude, they play good movies, dude, all the time.
Yeah, I want it. I mean, I'm hoping, you know, in 2022, especially because there's so many movies coming out that like I want to start, you know, going to movies again. I need to sign up for like that like AMC like A list or
Oh,
whatever.
the movie pass. Yeah, the movie pass type deal. It's worth it.
Yeah, 3 movies a week and you pay like $25 or something a month.
There was, dude, if I saw 2 movies, I mean, at least I'd get a reward. So, like every other time I went to the movies, I'd get a drink and a snack, and it would cost me like $4
Oh hell yeah!
because you get like a reward. You get money off when you get a reward, like when you make so many points.
Hmm.
Yeah, I definitely remember paying $4 for a drink and some licorice when I saw the Halloween, the first one, not the Kills one, but I went
Right,
like yeah, $4, dude. And you don't pay. I think that they don't have you pay fees when you sign up for that, so you kind of just pay whatever the price says.
right,
You pay that plus tax,
right,
but
right.
no like fees for ordering online or anything like that, which is really cool. Um, Home Alone.
Yeah. So this movie, first off, John Hughes produced, Chris Columbus directed. Perfect. Like perfect.
That's
Like
the team right there.
yeah, the cast amazing. You know, you got young Macaulay Culkin, fresh off of Uncle Buck. You got what was it, Catherine O'Hara, who is you know
The
she's
bomb.
she's the mom. You got Joe Pesci, who was just eating up every scene he is in.
Daniel Stern, who I feel like after this movie got typecast and like he has to like get into these zany like trip and falls and stuff. Like he did when
Yeah,
he did that movie. Remember he did that movie Bushwhacked, where he like pretended to be the scout leader and took these kids into the woods or something, and it was like the kids weren't attacking him. He just kept having like weird trip and fall, wacky shit happen to him. Like it just looked like Home Alone esque stunts.
no, I remember a movie. I think it was called like Celtic Pride or something like that, where like he
Oh
was like a raging Celtics fan.
yeah,
Um, that was kind of a good movie. That wasn't bad.
it was it
It
was
was
fun, dude. It
enjoyable.
was
Yeah,
fun.
it was fun. But yeah, this movie is just. I mean, we're we're not gonna go beat by beat like we do with a lot of our other episodes because I think it's pretty safe to say that most people have probably seen this movie. Um, for those who don't know what it's about, a young boy is left home alone on Christmas, and he has to defend his house while two burglars named Marv and Harry, also known as the Wet Bandits, try to break into
WET. Shut up, you idiot.
um, try to break into Kevin McAllister's home, and he has to defend it. And
I'm still
so,
laughing at this. Still laughing at this movie, and I've seen it like at least 20 times. At
oh,
least.
this is I, I would probably say this is my family's favorite Christmas movie, or it's definitely up there. I think like this National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. Um,
Absolutely that one.
trying to think.
I
There's like
actually,
another.
even though they play it for 24 hours every Christmas, Christmas Story is something that I watch. I really like that one still, even though they kind of overdo it.
I think I'm just I think I was a little too young when that movie came out because I
All right,
can't. I don't know.
this podcast is over. We're never doing another episode. Enjoy this season finale cut.
um, but
It doesn't have. It's timeless, dude. It's set in a different time. It doesn't matter.
I think I will say this. I've only seen it once. I was very young, and I was at my
Okay.
grandmother's house.
Okay. All right.
So
You
it
didn't
was
have the
like,
proper. You didn't have a real proper viewing. Plus, you were like real young. All right.
yeah.
That's fair.
Um,
That's fair.
but we'll get into our favorite Christmas movies and stuff later. Um,
Absolutely.
but this movie, I mean, I love this movie. There's so much to love about this movie. Are the family, is the family just a whole big group of assholes? Yes. The McAllisters are terrible people. They're awful
Yeah.
people. But
Uh,
come on.
dude, I was actually still shocked by the part when he like freaks out on the brother, and then the family just berates him in front of his
Yeah.
parents, and his parents are like, "Yeah, you're fucking in trouble."
Yeah.
Like nobody's anything. That fucking old man, that his uncle was just like, "You're a little jerk."
Yeah.
Like, and the one kid said he was a disease, just giving it to him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's strange because it's like the family is kind of mean, but Kevin is dishing it right back.
Oh, absolutely.
So it's like no one's really good here. It's a family that's arguing on the holidays.
Yeah.
So it's like I understand that, and I'm like, all right, is it a little over the top? Maybe, but it's a family fighting on the holidays right before they're supposed to go on this big flight to like Paris.
Yeah.
So I
Um.
get it.
So yeah, so he ends up he has to sleep on the third floor, which is the attic. He
Yeah.
calls the third floor. But bonus, he doesn't have to sleep with Fuller, who wets the bed if he drinks too much Pepsi.
True. Um, I
So
will
good.
say this movie in the scene with like the family when they're eating, and later in the movie when Kevin orders a pizza for himself. I don't know if really any other movie has made me just want pizza like that. Like I'm just like I want that pizza. Like I want like it made me in the mood for pizza.
Were you like, I need to order a pizza? And then I think the next time you get pizza, you're gonna be like, a delicious cheese pizza. Just
Just
for
for
me.
me. Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
This movie's super quotable. Also, like
Oh yeah.
when I was a kid and this came out, I memorized the part with the movie when he plays the movie over the pizza guy. Um, I probably wore that part of the tape out. Um, I'd rewind it and just it was the fun, dude. I was like 9, I think. It was the funniest fucking thing to me. Like
It's
just the
so
most
cool.
hilarious thing, and
It's
it's
so,
clever.
oh yeah, and it's so cool that like they actually filmed that little segment just for the movie.
Yeah, yeah.
Like I think that's
I
so
remember
cool.
trying to. I remember thinking that was a real movie and always trying to find it, and then
Same.
later on, I found I was like, oh yeah, that just thought it was actually cooler that they made a small little clip film in the film. That was
Yeah,
definitely
yeah, it was super cool. I mean, just everything about this movie, and then when there's like this windstorm or snowstorm, that knocks out the power, and
yeah.
they wake up late, and then the whole family's in a rush, and then Kevin gets left behind. So many people are like I've seen so many people be like, that's so like stupid, like how could they let that happen, those are the worst parents ever. It's like, yeah,
There were like 15 people,
yeah, there was also like 15 people. There was
and
also that neighbor kid there who was like sifting through shit.
that's what I mean. See, at first I was trying to think about. It, I'm like, yeah, no way. How does this kid just get left behind? And then I realized that the girl counted the neighbor kid. So
Hmm.
she was like, she had to count, and she was like, yeah, everybody's here.
Yeah,
So it's pretty believable.
it is. Now don't get me wrong, I there's at some point during the drive to the airport someone probably should have noticed, but at the
Yeah,
same
I feel like
time,
someone would have noticed earlier for sure.
yeah, but at the same time, uh, I say that because I think something that's dying in a lot of like, not dying, that might be a little, well, yeah, kind of like something that's sort of dying in like a lot of like movie going experiences or like movie watching is that so many people are like so quick to point out what doesn't make sense. Their like suspension of disbelief is not really there. And it's like you're
Like,
watching a movie called Home Alone.
yeah,
Like, understand what's happening here. This is a child's
you have
fantasy movie.
you have to suspend all disbelief for the things that happen to these fucking guys, dude.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. These
I'd
guys
be
would be dead.
if I fell down those stairs, dude, I'd be crippled.
That is another thing is that this movie, once um, Harry and Marv come in, it's essentially like a Tom and Jerry cartoon.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
basically what it is. And I love every second of it.
I actually, dude, I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, I get baked and I still watch fucking Tom and Jerry, dude. It's just fun, dude. It's still fun. And yes, that is a perfect fucking comparison. Is it's just like a Tom and Jerry like Looney Tunes type deal,
Mm-hmm.
which if done right in live action can fucking work, but is as evidence here.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
it's pretty. Yeah, I mean, I didn't. You don't really have to suspend disbelief. It's just fun.
Yeah. But it's like, when there's all those people that are like, Kevin could have just called the cops, but instead he wanted to be sadistic. It's like, shut up. It's like, if you were eight
I don't think
years
he was
old,
being. I don't think he was being sadistic. I think he was an 8-year-old kid who was home alone and probably a little freaked, dude, because his no one's there. There's no supervision. There's no adult to be like, "Hey, look, this is going on,
Mhm.
mom or dad." No, they're gone.
Well, not to mention, until his mom comes back, he legitimately thought that he wished them all away.
Yeah, and
Like,
then
he thought they were
bring it back
gone.
around. Bring it back around. He wishes for them to be back.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god, what a great story! What a great story!
So
It's
good.
so good.
Um, Before we
He did.
get what?
He did think that he wished them all away. Like he was
Yeah.
like praying. He's like, look, I didn't mean that.
So let's let's kind of take this sort of, I guess, let's start with supporting characters, which would be the
Oh,
family and the old man, the neighbor.
okay. The old man was cool. They like it's something they did in the late '80s, early '90s movies when it was like dealing with kids. They did in the Monster Squad where they called that one guy Scary German Guy, and then up he was like he was like the coolest dude. And then this they make up that story about him like murdering his family with the shovel,
Mm-hmm.
and then he ends up being like the nicest dude who's like, yeah, I'm quiet old man. Like then he just drops his story like he hasn't talked to his son in forever because they had a fight,
Mm-hmm.
and it's kind of ties in with Kevin's story. They had that nice talk, dude. Like that part was really good. I
Oh, that church scene between
Yeah,
Kevin and the old man is amazing. And I mean that old guy, I don't know if I feel bad that I don't feel like I've seen him in like any other movies, but like his acting is so good, and he is just like he's he's does such a great job at looking intimidating, and then once he sees Kevin in the church and is just like Merry Christmas, and you see Kevin just like his reaction is just like, huh?
yeah.
Um,
He's giving him a look like,
yeah, it's just their exchange is amazing,
yeah,
and I mean we'll get to Macaulay Culkin, but because I have so much to say about him, but um, yeah, the old man, I feel bad that I don't even know his name in the movie, but he was so good. Um,
yeah. He did a great job.
and then
Oh,
him coming in at the end and knocking out Harry and Marv.
oh yeah, with the shovel.
Hmm.
What
So good.
I spent so much time on Kevin. Like, what other supporting actors? Like the kids or the dad, John Hurd, who
Yeah.
who a couple years ago was at a convention I went to, and I walked by his table and he was fucking sleeping sitting up. Um, R.I.P. By the way, he was I, I don't know, he was sleeping.
Well, then let's talk
I
about
mean, he's great.
what?
I mean, for what little he did, he was great. He played a dad, dude. He did pretty well. Like a kind of like a little bit of rough around the edges dad, where he's like, sport, like
Yeah,
fucking. It's oh, I knew you were gonna be good. Like,
yeah.
uh,
Um, well, Catherine O'Hara.
oh,
This woman puts herself through the ringer in this movie.
mm-hmm,
She has to sit with John Candy and his polka band.
dude, polka, polka, polka. Yo, that is one of my favorite parts of this whole movie. I love John Candy.
It's oh
He
yeah,
just
oh
like
he's great.
you see him in the background, and it's just like you're distracted by what's actually going on in the scene because you're like, it's fucking John Candy, here we go. Like,
Hmm.
yeah, but Catherine O'Hara is like she like does a whole lot of different things in this movie where it's like she's mom, then she's like fucking frantic, then she's just like you're definitely sympathetic towards her. Like she's when she was like trying to bribe the old
Yeah.
lady, she was
Oh
like
yeah.
she was giving up like G's and stuff. Like she's earrings, rings, watches, pocket translator, fucking $500 in cash, and then
Hmm.
that didn't even work. And she was just like, "Come on, from a mom to a mom." She turned it on, like, and then bam, she's in there. She did a fantastic job in this movie.
Yeah. I mean, her acting is just and as you said, the way that she's able to, her character is not one note, which you find so much with a lot of like kids movie, family movie parents, where the parents are always so they're either too strict or they're very like whatever, not even aware of their surroundings. And so
Mm,
it's like to have a character like Catherine O'Hara who is strict, gets in the fight with Kevin, is frantic, and then is desperate, and then is like, I mean, she screams at um someone. She screams at like one of like the flight attendant or one of the people at the airport. Um, and so it's like she does kind of have a little bit of like comedic timing too, which I mean, Catherine O'Hara is extremely funny. So it's I don't think enough people talk about her performance in this movie.
sure. I mean, it's a Macaulay Culkin vehicle.
Yeah, oh yeah, which we're about to get to, but I do think that Catherine O'Hara needs a lot more love than she gets for this
Absolutely.
movie. I think she is the underrated hero
She's great.
of this movie.
She's great. She's great in that show. What's that? Schitt's Creek.
Yeah.
Yeah, she kills it on there too. What? Well, we could talk about Joe Pesci for a minute because I wanted to talk about like how great that beginning scene is when it's like 800 family members in the house and Joe Pesci shows up impersonating a cop
Yeah.
and how fucked he feels, dude, because he's just trying to get one person's fucking attention to give him like three tidbits of information, and you just see the dejection in his face every time someone like walks up and he's like, okay, like, yo, and then the pizza guy shows up. Dude, the best is the pizza guy because he just is asking everyone for money.
Yeah.
Everyone sees, he like walks in and sees Joe Pesci and he's like 122.50. He's like, yeah, I don't live here. Like, he asked like four people,
Yeah.
and then he still didn't get the money. But Joe Pesci, dude, Daniel Stern's a great like partner to him, but Pesci was
Oh,
killing in it.
he's yeah. I mean, they both their chemistry together is amazing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
But
off the chart.
like it's one of those movies where like watching it, like I feel like they were just having so much fun filming it. Like I feel like Joe Pesci in so many movies isn't allowed to be just goofy like that. So it's like I feel like
Oh
he,
yeah.
just being able to like let loose, but still
Mm.
being Joe Pesci, but just like a PG version of Joe Pesci, you know.
Uh, it's really evident, like when the first time, like when he shoots him in the dick with the BB gun, and he's like, "Oh shoot!" He's
Well,
like not
yeah, and then
swearing.
like he
He's
like
just
makes up his
making
own
really,
language instead of like swearing. He
yeah,
just is like, like
yeah, he's making like really angry noises. Like,
yeah, it's great. And I think like his yeah, and like his
yeah,
reactions to things too, like when he opens the door and like the flamethrower like gets his head just like his eyes get super
his
wide and
eyes
he just
like,
it's hilarious. It's so like it's a movie that just if you look at it like a live action Tom and Jerry movie almost,
oh yeah,
and
yeah,
it's just the funniest thing ever. There's only one scene in this
dude.
entire movie that makes me cringe a little bit, and that is when Daniel Stern steps on the nail.
Oh yeah, dude. my my son was in here. We were watching it in my room, and the cat was on the bed, and he just turned his head and hugged the cat. He was like, "Yeah, he's like, I just didn't want to see that." He's like, "I knew where that was going." I was like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, I hear you." I was like, anything with like stepping on sharp objects, I was like, "You're not gonna want to see what happens in like 2 minutes here."
Yeah.
Uh, but then and to this day, like when it came out, and to this day, the part that makes me laugh uncontrollably is when he drops the spider on Daniel Stern's face, and he does like the most hilarious screaming I've ever heard in my life. It makes, dude, I can't stop laughing during that
It's
whole
amazing.
scene.
Yeah.
And they keep it going because he's like, "Yo, don't move," and he hits him with the crowbar. And then Pesci's reaction when he gets up and he's like, "Ah, how do you like it?" He's just wailing on him with the
Yeah.
crowbar.
Yeah. Yeah, Yeah, he's
love
like,
that part.
he just hits
I
it, and then
love
he's just
that.
like, "Yeah, how do you like it, you jerk?"
Yeah,
It's so great.
I'm dude. 9 years old when this movie came out. Okay, later in life, I saw other things with Joe Pesci. I mean, the things that people really know him for.
Oh yeah,
So now when I watched this, I was like, is he gonna tell this dude to go get his fucking shine box? Like,
I'm just yeah. It's
this movie's so fucking good, dude. I'm so happy I'm so happy you picked this.
yeah. It's just such a good movie. It's so. I mean, let's get to the star, Macaulay
Oh,
Culkin.
good old Macaulay.
Rewatching this movie, I'm just like, is there any other better child actor in any other movie that is as good as this one? I mean,
No.
his reactions, his timing, he's hilarious. He's he's got an edge to him that like is just so funny to watch, but he's a good kid. Like that
Yeah.
scene when he's going into the grocery store and he's like he's reading the newspaper and he's just like, "How are those TV dinners?" And she's just like, "I don't know." And he's just like, "I'll give them a whirl."
Yeah, I'll give him a
Like
whirl. Yeah, dude. That was actually a good example. Well, or when he walks up to the counter at the pharmacy and he's like, "Is this toothbrush approved by the
uh,
American Dental Association?"
yeah.
What 8-year-old kid is saying these
Right.
things?
Yeah. No, it's amazing. Um I mean, he's just so good. He he breaks the fourth wall, which I think is really strange. Um, because it's very random, but like,
Yeah, yeah.
um, I also love that he makes himself this big plate of mac and cheese with a big glass of milk and doesn't even touch it.
Nope. Because
Nope.
I don't know, the clock
He
starts.
knows
The
9 o'clock.
the clock goes off,
Yeah.
and then the fucking robbers start showing up. Harry and Marv there.
Mm-hmm. And I mean I love when he leaves the church after talking to the old man, and then he runs back home, and he's just like, "This is my house. I have to defend it." The 7, 8 year old in me was like cheering again because I was just like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, like set up those traps, like throw."
Oh yeah, booby trap the whole house. Fuck these guys.
Dude, and I mean, he made the steps super slippery. He made flamethrowers. He made like little like glass ornaments for them to step on. He heated
Dude,
up a doorknob to
yeah,
burn
burn the M into his hand.
like wild.
Dude, fucking fantastic. The paint cans,
Mm-hmm.
the iron coming down the laundry chute.
Hilarious. I love that. I love that part when he just pulls the light and he just looks up. And I love because before it hits him, I'm pretty sure you hear him say like, "Oh shit," and it just hits him. And I'm just like, so great.
I feel like, okay, since they obviously they did the sequel or whatever, so I feel like they put each of them through like something signature. Like Daniel Stern like screams like a maniac when he has that spider on his face, and then in the second one when he's getting electrocuted, that is another scene that makes me laugh uncontrollably because of his reaction.
Yeah.
Ridiculous
He just
reaction.
turns into a
I will
skeleton
stop.
for a minute.
Just like it's
It's
it
so
just
great.
gets high pitch. It's the high pitch, dude. I don't know. It's
Mm-hmm.
like I'm like any other way I'm looking at this, I'm like, it's kind of dumb. But like the way his reaction to it makes it like it's great. Like their reactions to everything is really what makes that so fun.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. If they weren't so animated about everything they're doing, it would not
Yeah.
near it wouldn't be nearly as fun as it is.
Oh,
Um,
agreed. Agreed.
but it's also
You,
because like these guys are. It's such a simple premise, you know. It's such a simple
yeah.
movie. These
But yet
guys,
there's so many things going on.
what?
But yet there's so many things going on, and they all make sense,
Yeah,
and they all come together. Yeah,
yeah.
it's great.
And it's just interesting because I think when you look at the other Home Alone movies and how they just get progressively worse and worse and worse. The second one, Home Alone 2 Lost in New York, I still really love. I think it's, pretty much just as good as the first one.
Oh yeah.
Um, Tim Curry being in that one also makes it,
Get
awesome.
on your knees and tell me you love me. We love you.
um,
I like that one just as much.
yeah.
Just
But then there's Home Alone 3, and Home Alone 3 has a young Scarlett Johansson in it, which is kind of funny to like watch, but it's not a good movie.
that, and neither is the rest of them.
I haven't even seen the rest of them, but
I
well, I've seen like bits and pieces of them.
3 I probably saw. I just don't really remember it at
I
all.
remember seeing 3, and when I was really little, I actually didn't mind 3, but I do think that.
Oh wait, I did see it. Yeah, it was okay.
But I think that when you watch Home Alone 1 and 2 and then you go to Home Alone 3, you see the change between a family movie to a kids movie.
Yep. Okay, that's probably why. Probably why they're progressively shittier. Like, I don't think they're family movies. I think they're just like, all right, the kids are here to see this stuff. Like, they're
Mhm.
here to see robbers or whoever get it. Like,
Yeah.
that's it. It's not
Yeah.
like there's no like real big story. Like, no, it's not as heartfelt. It doesn't really have heart.
Yeah. And I think that's where the character of Catherine O'Hara comes in because
Mm-hmm.
because I do think that if it was just Macaulay Culkin and Joe Pesci and Daniel Stern, I think the movie would be fun, but I don't think it would be there. Catherine O'Hara's character is very much the heart of the movie. And so I think when you watch the later movies, like Home Alone 3 and so on, there's not really much of like a parent child dynamic, at least not as
Yeah.
strong, not as sort of
Oh no.
like you believe that Macaulay Culkin and Catherine O'Hara's characters are upset with each other and have known each other for the last 8 years of his life,
Right.
you know?
Right. Yep.
And so, like, when they talk and everything, like, you feel that history. So when they fight in the beginning of the movie, and then when you see that carry out all the way until the end of the movie, when she finally shows back up, and you see both of them are like, we shouldn't have said the things we've said, like, they don't actually say it, but it's very heavily implied
Yeah.
that it's like,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, so I think that's really the problem with with the later Home Alone movies is that
It,
when you take out the heart, that's what
yeah.
makes the movies bad.
This is a movie, yes, that makes me believe that they were like mom and son. Like they acted it so well.
Oh yeah,
Um and like the stuff outside of the burglars, the fun part, the stuff outside the burglars it feels very real. Like, I mean, it's a little far fetched, but not really. But that could happen.
oh
And it
yeah,
very well could happen. You could very well have an argument beforehand. And the family plays this so well where it's like when like throughout the movie you're like, man, Like it's fun, but you're like, man, I hope this kid's parents come back. Like it's in the back of your mind. Like the kid's home alone. Like anything could happen. He's 8 years old. You
Oh
know what I
yeah,
mean? So then when she shows up, and then tick tick tick, rest of the family shows up. Like you're like, yeah, like it makes you like you're like, yes, that's awesome.
oh
Like
yeah, yeah,
it, it hits on the like when it's not being goofy, it really hits too.
yeah.
Like, but it's not taking away from the goofiness because that stuff's great too. It's
Oh
just that
no, no, it's
when it
great.
wants when it when it wants to be serious, like it's perfect. It's
Yeah,
perfect.
it knows how to really be heartfelt and
Hmm.
be very funny, which is why I think it's such a perfect Christmas movie because it's just so much fun throughout. There's a lot of heart. There are stakes, but it's not like you don't throughout the movie you feel a little worried for him, but at no point
Yeah.
ever watching this, even when I was little, did I ever think that Kevin was gonna die. So,
Oh, same.
so I think it's a fun movie. The soundtrack the soundtrack and the score, amazing. John
Woo!
Williams,
Yeah,
great
clearly in my
score.
memory, all of the music,
Oh yeah,
all the
so
magic.
good. Um,
Yeah, that thing, when you watch that movie, that's stuck in your head for a little while.
oh
Just
yeah,
that, doo, 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 like
yeah,
that part, like it's great. And then
yeah,
even they kind of throw in like the 50s, like kind of 50s, like the older Christmas songs, and like
yeah,
it's like they got a couple of like 50s, 60s songs,
yeah, yeah.
which
Like rocking around the Christmas tree and stuff like
yeah,
that. Yeah,
like my favorite in part two is when Uncle Frank is in the shower and they're saying, we know a guy that can really do the cool jerk.
yeah.
That makes me laugh real good too. I love that part.
It's, I mean,
So
it's
good.
just great. Plus, I mean, it's filmed really well too. Like, I mean, I watched this on Disney Plus, and so streaming, it's a
Mhm.
4K stream, and it's a beautiful movie. Um,
Yeah, I mean, I always like the look of a movie on Christmas. Like they either it's real snow or they do it really well, but like
mhm.
just gives you a feel, even though it's like probably like fucking 20 below zero outside, just makes you feel a little warm.
Oh yeah.
Like, yeah.
I love and I mean also this movie is again it's a fantasy. It's a for the first
Mhm.
couple of minutes or whatever, it's a child's fantasy where he's ordering the pizza, he's eating all the ice cream, he's going through
Yeah.
like all of Buzz's stuff. Um,
Buzz, your girlfriend. Whoa.
Woof. Yeah, like so good. Um, I mean, come on, the movie is wish fulfillment because it's like if you were 8 years old and this happened to you, don't you wish you would be able to do the same thing Kevin did, right?
I mean, the premise and the way it goes down is very believable. When you're like a little kid, your parents are not cool to you. Like you're like you do in a way. I mean, you're not gonna say it when you're 8 years old, but like, oh, I wish they'd fuck off.
Yeah,
Like, um, but then in a very real way, it comes in a sense where it's like, yeah, I want them to fuck off, but I don't want them to fuck off totally because then you
yeah,
miss them. You
yeah,
realize how much you love them. You know what I
yeah.
mean? So
Oh yeah, it's a movie that for kids it has a lot of fun, a lot of like really cool looking stunts and everything like that. For adults, it's got a lot of adult humor, a lot of adult language.
yeah,
Um,
polka, polka, polka.
yeah,
That's okay,
you
my
know,
favorite.
I mean, it, I would ask what are your negatives, but I feel like you like me won't have any negatives.
I have zero negatives, and I have to say that I feel like every movie that John Candy is in, there is some point where he just gives like he gives the sage advice, or gives like he just like something he says makes another person be like, yeah. Like when it's like nighttime and they're in the back of that van and he's just like, we're on the road 49 weeks a year. This dude is like, I don't know when the last time he saw his children. This guy, I don't think he's ever met them. Like, and he just like, and then it comes back around and he gives her like, he just hits her with that wisdom. And I feel like he
Mhm.
did like, there are movies he's like almost every movie he's in, he pretty much like there's a part where he does that, and it's great. It's always great.
Oh, oh yeah, I love John Candy. He just brings heart to, or he brought a heart, to every role. R.I.P. John Candy. Um,
Absolutely.
but so I
That comment.
mean, so so what would you say are are the positives then? Like for you, what are your
Everything, this family story, this whole like it was done
yeah
perfectly. Um, like we talked about earlier. I mean, I can, there's nothing bad I can say. Like all the people in the movie are fucking awesome. The the stunt stuff, the fucking the burglarizing, fucking sick. And Daniel Stern, Joe Pesci, crazy chemistry. Like it's really funny when they're in that first house and like I'm thinking like Daniel Stern is just clearing off racks with like crowbar and has no care, and I'm just like, do these guys want to make money? Like this dude's like basically trashing everything that they're
yeah
stealing. And like and the part where he walks out of the house and he's like real smug with himself, and Joe Pesci's like, you did it again, didn't you? Like that's the part where he explains to him, he's like people are he's like, we get caught, people are gonna know, like every house. And then at the end, they're like, man, see, you did that. So you did that flooding thing, huh? So now we can just go around and figure out every house you
every
hit.
single
Like
house. Yeah,
it was so good, and then the space. It's basically the message of family in this movie, and a lot of times a message of family in a movie makes me want to gag because it's not done well.
yeah.
When it feels natural, which it does in this movie, it's done really well, and I like it.
Hmm.
Um, there's nothing. Everything's so good in this movie. Like literally everything. Every scene. There's like even with he tries to go see Santa, but it closes, and he has a conversation
Oh
with
yeah.
the Santa. Like so, he gives him the Tic Tacs.
I
Like
love
that was
that.
a good scene, dude. Like
Yeah. I also love
there's no.
the I love the part where he's talking to that Santa where for the kids they write where Kevin's like, I know you're not the real Santa, but I know that you work for him. I'm like, I love that. Like just something like that, it's like I love that. Like you're
It's
keeping the
funny because
magic. What?
it's funny because at first, like when he says it, he's like, I know you're not the real Santa. He's like, I know how this works, and I'm like, oh shit, is he like giving that away? And then he's like, but you work for Santa. Like the pauses in there, I
Yeah.
was like, is he about to like out Santa? And then he's just like, but you work for him.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, there it is, there it is.
Like I don't know, like little things like that. Like in this movie has a lot of that, where it's just little touches where it's like I love that, where it it feels like a very authentic Christmas movie where yeah,
Yes.
Christmas is all around and it's happening, but it's not beating you over the head like, "Hey, it's Christmas right now. It's Christmas. It's
Yeah.
Christmas." It's not doing that. It's just like there's music, the aesthetic, you know.
Aren't they going? Are they going to Paris for like some job thing? Like the
No,
dad's
it,
going.
it was for
No,
Christmas.
it was just for like his brother or something was there, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, I mean, it was for Christmas, but it's this thing where it's like there's
Like they're not saying it every scene. They're like, yeah,
yeah,
we're going to Paris for Christmas. They're just like basically like, yeah, we're going to Paris. Like,
yeah. Like there's
was it?
there's a there's a specific movie that I'm probably going to get some hate for because I think this movie is so obnoxious and that movie is Elf. I think Elf
Mm,
is so obnoxious. And part of it is because, yes, it's a Christmas movie, but Will Ferrell needs to shut the fuck up, or everyone else needs to come up to his level, or maybe don't have him in this stupid elf. Like, I don't know, just everything about that movie, it just
I
looks dumb,
think
it feels dumb, it ends stupid.
I think that's the greatest thing about this movie is that Will Ferrell is Christmas turned up to 100, and everyone else is in the real world. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like,
Yeah,
I think
it's
that's what
just
makes that movie work. But it does beat you over the head with Christmas, and yeah, it's not super great. Like, there's parts in it that are funny, but like,
there's parts of it that
yeah,
I don't mind, but all in all, I think it's a very just obnoxious movie, and I think that's 100% because of Will Ferrell.
we're in a world full of obnoxious people, so why wouldn't they make that their greatest Christmas movie or whatever the fuck?
Yeah. Well, plus they make that short joke to Peter Dinklage in that movie too, and it's like, oof.
I mean, that part actually makes me laugh because of what Peter Dinklage says.
Yeah.
Not
Um. But so that is Home Alone.
10 out of 10, 10 out of 10,
10 out of 10. 10. Yeah.
10 out of 10.
Um.
Now look at the 10 out of 10s we've given. There's one end of the spectrum, Taxi Driver. The other end of the spectrum, Home Alone. We've given Taxi Driver and Home Alone a 10 out of 10.
Hey, man, a good movie is a good movie. Um.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But so with that, what are, because it is Christmas. Well, when this comes out, Christmas will be, in a couple of days. Um.
Yeah. No,
So
5 days out.
what are some of your favorite Christmas movies? Some of your favorite movies. We talked about what some of our favorite movies to watch on Halloween were. What are some of our
Yep.
favorite movies to watch during the Christmas season?
I definitely like. Like I said, it's on 24 fucking hours the whole day, Christmas Eve, Christmas Day. But I mean, at least one time I'm gonna watch Christmas Story. It's just the thing. It's something I watched since I was little. Um, which it's the Christmas season, so I watched it.
Mm.
Um, what else? What else do I watch on Christmas? You know what? It's not. They're not even Christmas movies. I like to watch Star Wars. I don't
Those
know
are good.
why,
I know a lot of people that
but
watch those around Christmas.
hit you with a deep cut. When I was a kid growing up, they'd show it all the time, and I believe it's on Disney Plus because I think I watched it like when Disney Plus came out. It is Mickey's Christmas Carol, and
I
it's
don't
an
think I've seen that
animated.
one.
Scrooge McDuck is literally Scrooge. Mickey is Bob Cratchit. Um, I don't know what they called the tiny Mickey, like the kid Mickey, but he was Tim, Tiny Tim. I have no
Okay.
idea. But like all the like most and Minnie Mouse was his wife, but most of the characters like were in like the Disney characters animated were in this like retelling of the Christmas Carol, and I always thought that was so good. And then I mean Halloween, it's the animated version of the Legend of Sleepy Hollow, which I really like too.
Mm, that's a good one. Um.
But yeah, that's kind of what I do on Christmas. But I mean, before I worked at this job, I had to work every Christmas, so I didn't really have a lot of time.
Yeah.
Shout
Um.
out to those jobs that close on Christmas.
Hell yes. I'm so happy that I don't work this Christmas. Um.
It is nice.
For me, National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. That's a big one.
Oh, yeah.
Home Alone, obviously. Um, something that for both Christmas and horror is Krampus. I love that movie.
Krampus
Uh,
rules.
I love Krampus. I think Krampus is a perfect Christmas horror movie.
Agreed.
That movie is
Oh,
perfect. We'll probably
it's
talk about
good.
that movie at some
Christmas
point.
Evil.
What?
Christmas Evil. That's another. I forgot about that one. That one popped in my head before you asked me. Christmas Evil. Christmas
Um,
Evil.
it's another one is it's a movie that a lot of people hate. I don't know why. I just love it, but Eight Crazy Nights. Um, I love that
Oh, that
movie.
movie's fun, dude.
I think it's so
That's a
much
fun
fun. I
movie.
think it's so silly. It's so funny. Um,
If you don't like Gay Crazy Nights, you hate Jews. I'm saying it right now. Now nobody can say they hate that movie.
that's
You see
true,
what I did?
right? If you don't like Eight Crazy Nights, you are an anti-Semite.
Yeah,
Um,
you piece of shit.
yeah, fucking assholes.
Yeah,
Jesus,
seriously.
God, it's the
2021.
season. And,
Yeah. Yeah, dude,
uh,
I actually do like that one a lot. I really do like that one.
yeah,
I've watched it a couple times.
it's a great movie.
Fun.
It makes me laugh. It just makes me
That
feel
old
good,
man's the
you
best.
know.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. Uh, when I was younger, like when I was like little, there was this. It was funny that you mentioned A Christmas Carol because there was this animated movie for A Christmas Carol. I think it was like Warner Brothers or something that did it, but it was. I remember I loved it, and so like every year, like around Christmas or so, I would rent it from Blockbuster, and
Okay.
I love that. I used to always watch that. Um, I
How
think
can
the
I
Santa
forget, dude?
Claus. That's what I was trying to think of with Tim Allen, the first one, the
How can
first
I
Santa
forget?
Claus. I
Yeah,
think that
first
movie's
one's good,
great.
for
I think
sure.
it's so good.
How, how can I forget, man? Muppets Christmas Carol.
That's really good. Muppets Christmas Carol is awesome.
Hell yeah, dude. I totally that just popped in my head too.
Um,
You know what? I bust that shit out. I'm gonna
when
have to bust
uh,
that shit out.
when we before we started recording and my phone rang, it was my dad, and my dad was saying that he was watching Scrooged with Bill Murray.
Oh, that's a great one, dude. That's
Yeah,
great. Bill Murray, man. Bill Murray at his Bill Murrayest. Like
yeah.
it's that era. No.
But but yeah, I mean, I love you know I love Christmas movies. I like movies that I will admit that even though the season in real life may not be the greatest as you get older, it might be it might get a little bit stressful. It might a lot of the magic kind of fades a little bit.
I find that it changes. For me, it changed where it was like when I was a kid, I was just worried about like, oh, I hope I get this for Christmas. Like, yeah, I was happy. Like the whole Christmas season super special. But
Hmm.
like when you get older, you kind of shift. You're like, oh, I hope I get the right thing for somebody else. Like
Yeah,
you get something to somebody else, and that gives you more enjoyment than getting a gift yourself sometimes.
yeah.
And I find that's where it like changes. I mean it's different for everybody. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I just think that like when I mean that that feeling of being a little kid on Christmas Eve, and I mean like I for me my family when I was little, what we would do is usually Christmas Eve we would have the tree up, decorating the tree. Um, my usually like my dad would read "Twas the Night Before Christmas" to like me and my brothers. We would put all of our presents under the tree. My parents had this thing where it was like this giant blanket where every year we would make like hands, like felt hands, like each
Mm-hmm.
Christmas season. And so that was cool. And so those little traditions. And then at like Christmas Eve not being able to sleep because you're just so excited to wake up tomorrow morning. And so, it's 6 in the morning and you're jumping on your parents' bed being like, hey, time to
Yes.
open some fucking presents. Like, let's
And they're
go.
like,
And then
And
just
they're
the
like, dude, why are
fucking
you waking me up
war
this
zone of
early?
wrapping paper and boxes flung
Yes,
all over the living room.
yes.
I mean,
And
I miss that.
excitement. And the excitement.
Oh
The
yeah,
excitement.
you know,
Oh, I
like
love it, dude. You just like, you ever like your parents make you wait too, where you're like, you wake them up, but then you gotta wait for them to come into the
yeah,
room.
yeah,
You're like, you just sit there staring at all the presents.
yeah.
You're like, you're just like, dude, mom and dad need to get out here right the fuck now. Like, they need
Hmm.
to put them. Like,
Oh yeah,
dude,
it was it
nothing.
was funny. Like my brother, um, like when like me and my brothers would like wake up early, and then like one of my brothers would, while we were waiting for like our parents to come down, he would take like the boxes and like separate each people's like presents into like their own piles. Like, all right, here
Yeah.
are your presents, here are yours, and
Oh yeah.
I mean, it was just like stuff like that is when I watch, movies like Home Alone or when I watch National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, it's like I kind of feel that again. Christmas is so good for nostalgia, and I think movies like that are kind of what really sort of preserves the magic of the holiday, which again is sort of it's a holiday that has changed a lot as I've gotten older. In the public eye
It's
and just
more
personally.
people are more vocal about like hating it now.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been alive for some time now. I It's not that Christmas music makes me mad or like I'm like, ugh. It's just like some of these songs I've heard way too much, and then
Yeah.
they beat you over the head for a whole month with the same ones.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But I'm not gonna lie, there's still songs that are, Christmas songs that are there are still Christmas songs that are great. Like every time you hear them, you're just like, yeah, that's a good one. Like, but I think that's really my only problem is like I don't really want to hear that much Christmas music. But other than that, I wish there was more snow on the ground for it.
Well,
I
yeah.
really
I
like a good
mean,
I really like a good blanket of snow or waking up and looking out the window and it's kind of like lightly snowing outside.
oh
You know
yeah,
what I
that's
mean?
great. Or like when it's Christmas Eve and you look out the window and it starts to snow and you're like, oh shit. Um, you know,
Like
um,
hope Santa can make it.
well, another thing, is the Santa trackers. I love going online and
Yeah,
looking up the
yeah,
Santa trackers and being like, oh, he's in the
yep.
Philippines right now. You know.
That is
Yeah, no, I mean, I do. I will admit that, the last couple of years, I've definitely grown kind of cynical towards the holiday, but um, it's definitely the holiday that if there were ever a more magical time of year, it's definitely Christmas. It's definitely this time of the year.
for sure.
There's just
For,
something, and
for
again,
sure.
especially even like working at the mall now, it's like, seeing people come in and buying all these presents, and I hear, and like I see these old couples walk in and they're like, do you think they'd like this, do you think they'd like this, talking about like, their
Yep,
grandkids or something. And it's like this old guy came in the other day and
yep.
he was like, I'm looking for something called Demon Slayer, what's that? And I'm like, oh. I'm like, oh, you old
Like,
man.
oh, that kid like anime.
I'm like, oh, you poor man. But yeah, and then I think I told you the other day, like this other older guy came in and was like, asking about the Evil Dead and like had no idea what it was, and I was just like, oh, this is my time to
I got
shine.
you. I got you. Which version of the 800 DVDs that have been put out do you want?
Right?
I'll tell you the best one.
Yeah. Um, but no, I mean, just like watching, and it's also, when like I'm ringing people out or whatever, and I'm like, doing some Christmas shopping, and they're like, yeah, I spend way too much money on them, and it's like, you're like the 500th person to say that. It's
Oh,
like
everybody,
everyone always spends
every.
too much money in it, and it's like, you know what? You love doing that though, you know?
Oh yeah, dude, the joy you get from it is worth it, worth all the money that you spent for
Yeah.
sure.
You know,
Where
and I
we?
think
Go ahead. Sorry.
yeah, and I I just think it's it's just great. It's one of those things where like if you especially with how the last couple of years have been and how just kind of shitty it's all been,
Mhm.
um this Christmas season, if it's at all possible to be just a little merry, just a little jolly, I think I think
We're
that's
a little bit
awesome.
better off. We're a little bit better off this year than we were last year, so we got to
Yeah.
be thankful for that.
I think 2022 is going to bring some good things also. So it's
I
like,
hope so. I hope so.
you know, so I don't
You
know.
what's your oh, so what are your favorite John Hughes movies?
Well, my favorite John Hughes movie probably ever is a tie between Ferris Bueller and The Breakfast Club. Um, those two movies will forever just be like The Breakfast Club to me objectively is just one of the best movies ever. Um, like I don't know
Yeah,
how you made a story about um what, five kids in detention. I don't know how you made that so entertaining, so engaging, so perfect,
and
but
they're
you
in one
did
room.
in one room for most of the movie.
Yep,
And then Ferris Bueller is just that's
it's
just
fair.
so much fun. It's Ferris Bueller. What about you?
Um, trying to think. I looked really quickly. Uh, there's clearly this. Um, but I get him and Chris Columbus mixed up, so I don't want to like miss. Did he do Weird Science or was that Chris Columbus?
I think he did Weird Science.
John Hughes he definitely did Mrs. Doubtfire.
Um, he did The Breakfast Club, Ferris Bueller, 16 Candles, Pretty in Pink. Wait, hold on. These might not actually be what he directed. Those might
Oh
be what he
no, I had
produced.
to go when I looked, I had to go to the IMDb and click on filmography to split it up into what he directed versus what was produced or written.
He only directed 8 movies.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
Curly Sue, Uncle Buck, She's Having a Baby, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, Ferris Bueller.
Oh,
Planes,
that
Trains, and Automobiles is a great movie.
sleeper, dude. Not
Um,
enough people talk about that. Not enough people talk about that.
yeah. He did direct Weird Science,
Yeah, Weird Science is fucking awesome. I love
Breakfast
that movie.
Club, and 16 Candles.
Yep, yep, yep. That's
Um,
the trifecta he hit right there. Was Breakfast Club, Pretty in Pink, and what was the other one? He had like three.
16 Candles?
16 Candles. Yeah, that was the Molly Ringwald trifecta. We'll call
Yeah,
that
pretty much.
the Ringwald trilogy.
He's produced a lot more than he's directed. He's produced like Baby's Day
Same with
Out,
Chris. Same with Chris.
Flubber,
Yeah,
Miracle on 34th Street, Dennis the Menace. Um,
Dennis
he
the Menace.
produced National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. Um, he produced
And
The
I
Great
think the
Outdoors.
Vacation. Oh, Great Outdoors. What a good movie. That's a good one too.
I mean, John Hughes. That's another one, man. Like R.I.P.
Yep.
He was great. I mean, he also wrote so much too. Like he wrote Home Alone 3. He wrote 101 Dalmatians. He wrote Flubber. He wrote uh he wrote Dennis the Menace. He wrote Home Alone. Um he wrote Curly Sue. He wrote he wrote the Uncle Buck TV series. He wrote
Oh
National
my God.
Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. He wrote The Great Outdoors. He wrote Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. He wrote Ferris Bueller. He wrote Weird Science. Like, this dude's writing ability is just ridiculous.
He was knocking them out.
You know,
Oh, the Chris Columbus is, I think, maybe top for me. Chris Columbus would be Adventures in Babysitting. I find that to be one of my favorites. Uh,
I
he's done more
mean,
well-known things
I
for
mean Harry
sure.
Potter. You know, Harry Potter 1 and 2. I love the Harry Potter movies. Um,
I saw the first one. I don't hate it.
I
I
I
saw the first.
I love him. He directed Pixels. I didn't realize that with Adam Sandler.
That movie is actually pretty fun.
He
I
directed I Love You, Beth Cooper. Oh, he directed Bicentennial Man. That is an underrated movie where Robin
Yes.
Williams is a robot. Yeah, it's such a good
Yep.
movie.
Oh, I agree. I agree.
Chris Columbus directed Mrs. Doubtfire,
Yeah. Oh, okay. See. Yeah.
and he directed Adventures in Babysitting.
Which I
Um,
love dearly.
he
They're
yeah.
like they're well known. They're more well known ones. That's but Adventures in Babysitting pops out. I used to watch the shit out of that movie when I was a kid. So good.
Um, I love Chris Columbus, and I think Chris Columbus is he's one of those directors that you can feel like a lot of heart in his characters. The
Mm-hmm.
way he directs them, like these characters feel very realized, very emotional. Um, yeah, I love Chris Columbus.
Yeah, definitely. So,
Um,
anything you wanna say to our listeners or watchers
well,
before we here?
to anyone watching, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy anything you celebrate. Um, Thanks for watching us. I You said it was the season finale, but don't we have one more episode?
What do we got?
I thought it was Groundhog Day.
Oh, you're right. This is not the season finale. Wow.
You still got one
Boy,
more episode for the new year, right before the new year.
right before the new year, yep. And that is Groundhog Day.
Um,
Oh, Bill Murray. Bill freaking Murray, baby.
yeah.
Merry Christmas, Happy Kwanzaa, Happy Hanukkah, whatever you celebrate. I want you to enjoy it. Hope you get everything that you want and more. Um, I hope that we bring you some, some joy, something that makes you laugh, something to kill the time. We hope we're doing that for you, because we were having a lot of fun doing it,
Oh yeah.
and this is definitely one of the best ones, dude, because we had nothing bad to say about this movie at all. Um, I guess until then, we're gonna get out of here. We'll see you for the season finale next time before the new year, and then we'll break, and then we're gonna come back. We're gonna come back season two. We're gonna mix it up. We're
Oh
gonna mix
yeah.
it up.
Oh yeah. We got some big things coming for season two. We got some big things just coming for the film section channel as a whole. Coming next year for you guys. Um, you know.
I'll talk about that. I'll talk about one of the parts more on the next episode.
Yeah. Oh
We'll
yeah.
talk about that a little. I'm excited for that. Yeah,
Oh yeah. So stick around, stay tuned, like, comment, subscribe, follow us at twitter.com/the film section, and we'll see you guys next week.